So right now I would like to introduce Joe Navarro, who is my neighbor, and we're just getting to know each other, and I'm so happy. Joe is a Cape Cod-based photographer, lives in Eastham, Massachusetts, and with his wife, Kristen, they have a company called Organic Photography, and you can find them online. His work has been in all kinds of publications, Rolling Stones, American Songwriter, Boston Globe, oh, etc. He's a runner too, apparently, or likes running. So New England Running Magazine has some of his photography. Um, he's photographed bands at Payment Theater, I'm sure, and other venues, such as Lenny Kravitz, The English Beat, who are, I just really like them. I'm a child of the 80s, basically. And so let's hear from Joe about his work too. But he also teaches at the Provincetown Art History Museum. He teaches at the college. So he's a colleague and someone, if our students are interested in a class in digital photography, you could look up Joe's work and his excellence in his field. And I'm glad to introduce Joe.
Well, thank you, Doug. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Natalie, for putting everything together. Like Doug said, I'm Joe Navas, and I live in Eastham, and I'm beyond honored to be part of this group and to be teaching at Four Cs this semester, because I went to Four Cs almost 20 years ago, well, 15 to 20 years ago. And it was incredibly informative and formative to my life and to my career as a photographer. So I can't thank you enough for including me in this. My subject, I mean, I photograph so many different types of, I do so many different types of photography, from portrait photography to street photography to musicians and commercial photography and lots of wedding photography and all sorts of things. What I'm presenting today, and I'll keep this short, is a project that my friend Mike Sestaro, who is from Eastham, who is an extraordinary video artist. He grew up in Eastham, but then worked in New York and LA and various places, and he has Up Above Creative. He had done the video for the 20 Summers project in Provincetown last year, and I've been the photographer for it for the last 2 seasons. This season, they had a fantastic lineup. You know, everything was going to be great. And then, of course, like so many things, it couldn't happen. But the Hawthorne Barn, where it takes place, the famous barn in Provincetown, was open. And so they've had different residencies there, but there was going to be a section that was open. And so Mike and I said, you know, we would love to do something if we could use the space. And they said, absolutely, you know, like just carte blanche, whatever you guys come up with. So around June or July, we started to talk about what we wanted to do. And it was soon after so many of the Black Lives Matter protests and so many of just all sorts of protests talking about racial injustice and economic injustice that were going on. And we were aware of and participating in a lot of the ones that were going on in the Cape. And we said, we really want to do something regarding that. We had to take into account that we are 2 white guys that were going to try to design this project. So from the outset, we said, if we're going to do this, we need to really make it be driven by the people that we're asking to participate in it. And so we still talk about, I mean, Mike and I talk almost every day, and we still talk about how we lucked out that the people that we ended up asking to participate could not have been better just choices. And I say choices really subjectively, because we just got lucky that we asked these 4 people who happen to be women to participate. And it was Alejandra Quadra, who I believe is here today. So hi, Alejandra. I've never actually met you. The day that we filmed this, I had to leave because I had a previous engagement later in the day. So I was able to be there for Tiana Esperanza, Moselle Angelat, and Muska Youssef, who I was able to photograph for 3 of them. And so that's why their 3 portraits are in the show, and Alejandra's is not, because I didn't take her portrait, Mike did. He did a wonderful job, and those will be presented when we present this whole work. But without going into it too much further, I'll let the video speak for itself. Mike and I had this idea. We gave it to these 4 women who just said what they said. They fleshed out this idea. It's called White Spaces. It's basically about what it's like to be a person of color on Cape Cod, which is a very white place, and what it's like to understand your presence in that and how it affects you, and how you grow and who you are as a result of that experience, and sometimes despite that experience. So anyway, I guess I'll just introduce the video, and it sort of speaks for itself. The video, I should mention too, is the stills are by me that you saw earlier. If you want to see the full gallery, you can go to my site, my personal site, which is joenavasphoto.com, and go to my blog, and it's there under white spaces. But the video is Mike Sestaro from Up Above Creative. He put this together, and yeah, without further ado.
I'm a human. I am here, present, in beautiful Cape Cod. I'm a perseverer, dreamer, believer. Okay.
When I was younger, you know, I would say to my mom, why is everybody looking at me in here, you know? And she always just said, it's because you're beautiful, always. And I think in certain situations it wasn't that, but she always made me feel that way.
Is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Oh Lord, your daddy's rich, and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry.
I remember being in maybe second or third grade, and the teacher having that talk about, you can be anything you want to be, everybody can do anything they want, there's no limitations. And then of course everybody's like, well, I'll be president of the United States, you know. And then I remember saying that too, being like, well, I want to be the president of the United States. Then the teacher stopped and said, actually you can't, because you weren't born here. And how that actually did have a big impact on me, because not only was I seeing people in positions of power, but the most powerful seat that I grew up looking at, I knew from a very young age that that could never be me. Because every little kid thinks they can be president, you know?
'Cause you can be as black as a crow, you can be as white as snow, but if you don't know, then you ain't got no dough.
I think my whole life I've walked into spaces and without saying it, asking the question, will you accept me? Will you accept me as queer? Will you accept me as black? Will you accept me as a woman? I think that's where a lot of that pain comes in when you become more aware too, because you realize that you're asking people to give you the respect that you actually already deserved. Having to ask that about something that I can't change, something that I don't want to change, something that, you know, I just am.
Now, Lewis also said that when the white man landed here, he brought two weapons. One was the Bible, and the other was the gun. If he didn't humble you with the Bible, he crumbled you with the gun. and they're still praising the Lord and passing ammunition all over the world. Yes, you can be as black as a crow, you can be as white as snow, but if you don't know, then you ain't got no dough.
One of the hardest things is when you are a person of color and you enter a space and you look around and nobody looks like you. Then you start instantly second guessing everything. And that's the hard thing about entering a white space, is sometimes you're not sure if what's happening to you is because you're a person of color, or if it is you being overly sensitive.
Going into a room with all white faces as a younger person may have been a little more intimidating, or certainly something that I was aware of. Now I'm just used to it, but I'm also more aware of myself in that space.
So when you walk into a white space, I think you have two choices. You can either assimilate and try not to draw any attention to yourself, so you're just like everybody else. Or the opposite, which is then you become like the spokesmodel for all people of color. So it creates this kind of double consciousness where you're experiencing something painful and at the same time almost apologizing to the person who is making you feel that way.
I think maybe growing up, I might have put blinders on what it truly meant because of not wanting to stick out as much. But now I realize it's like, this is me with my accent and all. Even though I try to define my own self and freedom, a paper is always trying to refine my own existence. So there's a lot of fear in that, of like not wanting to stand out too much for a long time. That's why I think about the importance of like creating your own freedom, even in the space of fear, and the space of so much paranoia. But it's like, how do you move forward and how do you keep going? It's okay to feel this way. It's okay to feel whatever I feel at that moment, or if it's a very uncomfortable feeling, to just be okay with it, but also realize like my own truth and my own values, even if sometimes they don't correspond with what is going on in any space.
What I'm continuing to learn is that I think power comes in understanding that you're unique and that you're special. You have something that nobody else does. That power can never be taken away, and then I can take it with me everywhere I go. The most important part is to understand what you deserve. I can feel such a sense of freedom from even saying that out loud.
That's hard if you don't have that foundation. And then when you're looking on TV or movies or music and you don't see it, I think you can struggle to figure out who you are when you're not represented.
But that's something I'm still working on, is how do you create your reality when you don't have any role models? or you don't see anybody that looks like you. And I've found that a lot of it is just trial and error, that you just got to do it and you'll fail, but you have to.
You have to find it on your own.
I am fierce. I am a woman. I'm an immigrant. I am proud. And yes, I am this. Let's do this.
Wow, what a beautiful movie. Thank you so much, Joe. And I also want to thank Tiana Esperanza, Muska Youssef, Moselle Andrulo, and Alejandra Quadra. I want to thank you again all for today, and I want to wish you a happy holidays. I want to say stay in touch, because we'll be back at the beginning of the year and we'll have more artists and more powerful moments together. Thank you.